Hey gang, happy Friday, it's Friday. Welcome to our first tiny tune-up of December. So all month long, all December long, each of my Friday tiny tune-ups are going to be built around your requests. I keep getting these error messages. Hopefully you can hear me. So all week long, or all month long, we're going to be taking requests for what you want me to talk about in my free tiny tune-up class on Fridays at noon. Today, I'm going to be talking about two muscles that pretty much share a common origin point. They get very tangled together at those origins, and then they go two different directions. So they get all snarled together at their origin, and then one goes one way and one goes the other way, and you can imagine the battle that this creates within your body. So what are the two muscles? We had a few guesses this week. A lot of people got one of the muscles correct, the QL, the quadratus lumborum. The other one, and there's lots of muscles that share fibers and overlap and share origin points and share insertion points and things like that. There's lots of places in the body where one muscle weaves in and out of another and things like that. But I'm specifically talking today about the QL and the glutes. And I'm going to talk about the glutes as a group. There's three glute muscles, but when I talk about the glutes today, I'm kind of talking about them as a group. Specifically, the glute medius and a little bit of the glute maximus, okay? So here's what I want to explain to you. I'm going to use Skelly here. Okay, so here's your ribs up here. Here's your pelvis down here. Two major landmarks in your body, right? When we have low back pain or mid back pain, there's usually some kind of imbalance or push-pull or discord going on in the space between the two. And we get at that from lots of different ways. You guys have seen a lot of my stuff where we work at the front of the spine for low back pain. But today we're going to be working in the back itself. And let's talk about these two muscles. So the QL originates right along your iliac crest towards the back, so sort of posterior iliac crest, pretty close to the spine. And this muscle starts here, and then it kind of creeps, it starts right about here, and then it kind of creeps over in toward the vertebrae and attaches at a few of these vertebrae here between the ribs and the pelvis. So it starts here, it goes here. If this is super tight, it can pull the rib cage down, right? It can pull the rib cage down toward the pelvis. Now, just superficial to that, meaning the next layer on top of that, we start to have the glute group. And again, I'm going to talk about it all as kind of a group. And the glutes kind of originate over here pretty close to the spine at the sacrum, and then a little bit on the posterior iliac crest. So we have kind of the superficial layer, glutes starting in this basic area, one layer, or I don't know actually how many layers, a layer down, or at least one layer, maybe several layers in, we have the origin of the QL muscle. So the glutes start here and go down towards the legs, and the QL starts here and goes up toward the ribs. So if these two muscles here are adhered together, if they have gotten kind of stuck, kind of glued together, what's going to happen? Your pelvis is going to be pulled up towards your ribs. Your ribs are going to be pulled down towards your pelvis. Both of these things can happen at once. And what happens if it's happening on both sides? You have a disaster, right? If it's just one side, it's like, okay, it's certainly creating quite an imbalance. That's obvious. But if you have both trying to do that at the same time, it's going to result in great pain. So one of the first things that we can do, and this is just the first sort of peeling back of that first layer, is just start to kind of free both of these origin points at the bone itself and also from each other. So just kind of kneading around, wriggling around in here, and doing some cross fibering will help to loosen both of these muscle origins at the bone and then also in their relation to each other. So I'm going to help you do that today. So here's how we're going to start. This is going to use the Yamana black balls. If you do not have Yamana black balls, just observe or lie on your back, and you can try some of this stuff even without the ball, just feeling your connection into the floor. But I encourage you to get the Yamana black balls if you don't already have them, because They are super portable, they go everywhere with you, and they're just basically life-changing. Okay, so taking your 2 black balls, keeping them close by, we're going to start with both at once, and then we're going to do a little one side and then the other. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to find, first of all, your iliac crest. So here's how you can find that. If you place your hands on the top of your pelvis, the pelvic rim here, where you feel it transition from bone to soft flesh, this is the side of your pelvis. You want to kind of walk your fingers back then towards your spine. We're not going to go all the way to the spine, but we're getting pretty close. And so it's going to be basically in line with that place here where you can feel it transition from bone to soft tissue, okay? So you kind of walk your fingers around, you find that place in back, and then let's have the 2 yamuna balls be almost touching, not quite fully touching. So maybe like, I think I have like about 2 fingers width between the balls here. And ideally, in an ideal world, your pelvis is nice and level across, right? The one hip is on the same level as the other. There's no tilting, there's no hiking, there's no torquing or twisting. This will start to highlight for you. If you do have one of those issues, which most of us do, you are probably aware of it to a degree. Maybe you're not. Maybe this might shed light on it for the first time for you today. But ideally, your pelvis is going to be in a level position. So if you think that they might not be, it can sometimes be helpful to place the balls what you can visually see as level and then come down to them. That can be a little tricky, of course, because they roll, but that can be a way to really ensure that your pelvis is on a level playing field, so to speak. So here you are. You can have your knees bent here, okay? Make sure that you are actually on your pelvis. Don't go above your pelvis to where you're starting to get toward that bottom rib. So you should be well below the floating ribs and below even the soft flesh. You're still on that rim of the pelvis. So I just want you to hang out here for a minute. Knees are bent, feet are grounded into the floor. Take a couple breaths here. Try to feel your weight really dropping down straight into these 2 points of contact here. Feeling a sense of your back, your low back expanding to the balls as you inhale, sort of reaching for those balls as you inhale. And then as you exhale, just gently allowing your weight to sort of drop as that sort of bubble deflates. Good. Now you might feel like you might feel crooked here. It might be that one hip is actually a little, you're kind of used to kind of pulling one hip up. And so it might not feel perfectly balanced. I encourage you to try not to do too much correcting and just sort of sit with this and notice it. If it is imbalanced, try to look for areas that might be gripping or locking up or holding that might not be at the forefront of your awareness. So super deep layers of gripping and tightness can be happening. So sort of tune into that and see if you can find a place that might be still holding on. Okay, so after you've done that for a little bit, go ahead and lift the pelvis. You can take the balls away. Let yourself be on the floor for a second without the use of the ball, just to kind of feel, again, what is your pelvis doing? Does it feel like one side is kind of dropping more towards the floor? Do you feel like your rib cage might be pulled down towards it? We're just trying to kind of assess the relationship here. Okay, so a couple more breaths to feel that. Now, keep one ball handy, and we're going to use one at a time now. So for the next part, pick a side that feels kind of, the most talkative, or certainly if there's a side that's painful or there's discomfort, pick that side. If you don't know, just kind of go with your instincts here. I'm going to pick my left side. So you're going to place the ball right where it was before, but the difference now is that there's only the one ball. So you're just going to return it to its original spot, and now I want you to stretch that same leg out. So stretching the ball side leg nice and long. Keep your other leg bent, and that will allow you to kind of angle your weight more directly into the black ball here. So leg is long. You can feel a little gentle stretch in the hip flexors there. Really accentuate that stretch by filling up the low belly and the low back with air as you inhale. So you're feeling this sense of gentle inflation and deflation with your breath. Okay, so now I want you to inch the ball just a hair closer to your spine. So what you're going to do is kind of move in the direction of your straight leg. So in my case, I'm moving towards my left. So I'm going to let the ball angle in just a bit closer to the spine. So I started here, and now I'm going a very short distance, probably about a centimeter, so that I'm angled a little bit closer to the spine. This is going to wake up the glute origins, okay? So this is, again, the glutes start up here at the rim of the pelvis and move down toward your legs, and the QL, which is right nearby here, goes up towards your ribs. So we have these opposing muscle groups that work great together if they're not glued together, okay? All right, so you've been here at the spine for a little bit. Take another breath deep here at the spine. And when you're ready to exhale, that's so good. Let your weight drop. Now you're going to go the other way. So you're going to just tiny micro shift now, moving the ball away from the spine. So your body will move towards your bent leg. And the ball is now sort of spreading out away from the spine. So going just past your starting point now. So we started kind of in the middle, we went to the spine, now we're going to go just a hair outside of that. Okay? And this is a little bit more direct into the QL origin. So we're already connecting these 2 points that basically overlap here, but we're really sort of teaching them how to wake up and maybe kind of peel themselves apart from one another. So as you're here for a few breaths, this leg is long, you're breathing into your belly and hip flexors in the front. You're breathing into your back, low back specifically, but also up into your ribs in the back, staying for a little bit longer. And then if you have the urge, which you probably do, I certainly do, you can even go a little further and almost kind of twist onto your side a little bit. You'll leave your QL when you do that, but it's kind of ignites a few other groups towards the front, and that can feel pretty good too. So if you want to angle just a touch more to the side, go for it. And then when you're ready, coming back to kind of that original starting point again. So just, about an inch or so from the spine, right on this rim again. Keeping your bent leg bent. This is going to stabilize you, okay? What we're going to do now is pull the straight leg knee in towards your chest. But as you're doing this, I want you to think about that glute muscle kind of sliding down and away from its origin point towards its insertion, right, which is down into all the way down into the hamstrings. And I want you to think about how as you're lifting your leg, that is sort of sliding down. And you can even assist that a little bit if you want. You can kind of give a sense of like the glutes kind of traveling away from that origin, stretching that muscle long. If you want to use your hands to pull your knee in, you can. That can feel really good, pulling it in nice and close to the chest. Keep letting your weight drop straight down into that ball. Big inhales into the back especially. Of course, you'll be inhaling all around, but really channeling right to the ball. You want to even do a little bit of kind of cross-fibering by kind of bringing the leg across the body and out, a little rotation. That can give a bit of cross-fibering, a little more wriggling to loosen things up. Now, to enhance this, take your arm, bring it up overhead, and stretch the ribs the other direction. So you can even take your hand across your body here, pulling the rib cage up at the same time you're pulling your knee into you. So you have a counter stretch going. Glutes going down this way, QL going up this way. You're trying to create as much space and length as possible between the ribs and the pelvis. Stay there as long as you want to. In your home practice, you could stay here for indefinitely. I tend to go a little quicker in these things because I know most people don't have a ton of time. But keep in mind that you can always linger for quite a while. Go ahead and remove the ball. Let yourself lie on your back for a second. Do whatever you want with your arms. Straighten your legs out if that's comfortable. And just see the difference between the two sides. You could bring your arms overhead too if you want and feel what that feels like. Noticing the difference even all the way up into the shoulder, maybe even all the way down into the joints of the leg. All right. When you're ready, you'll do the other side. So you can just lift up, take your ball on the opposite side now. So I'll turn around so you can see that. I'll ask you at the end, keep in mind how this was feeling. I don't want you to have to get up to type anything, but I'll ask you at the end if you could feel the difference between those two sides. Okay, so now you're going to stretch out the opposite leg, different leg than what you just had out. Other side is bent. You're angling your weight into the ball. The ball is at that starting point where about an inch or so from the spine. So really stretching that leg long, imagining the string on the bottom of the heel. It's a gentle, invisible string, giving you a little tug that direction, feeling the hip flexor, gentle opening as you breathe into the low belly here. And as you exhale, of course, your weight is able to drop a little bit more right to that point of contact with the ball. When you're ready, you're going to angle the ball a little closer to the spine. So just shift your weight in the direction of the straight leg. Ball shifts toward the spine. So it's now pressing in gently to the spine. Stay here for a few breaths. If you wanted to, you could do a little kind of rotation of the leg. Turn it in and out. Stay there for a minute. I'm just going to close this box that always pops up here. It says that I'm not using the right microphone, but I think you guys can hear me, so close that. Staying where you are, breathing into the space between the ribs and the pelvis. When you feel ready, now you're going to shift the ball toward the outside. So I forgot to mention, when you're at the spine, towards the spine, you're closer to those glute origins. It's just a tiny, tiny micro distance out to the other side to get more directly into the QL origin. And you might find that some of these spots are really tender. You might find that one side felt a lot more intense than the other. If you don't feel intensity, it does not mean that you're not doing it correctly. Several breaths here. Really feeling that expansion and a gentle deflation. Now, when you're ready, go ahead and start to pull the straight leg knee in. So you're gonna keep the other leg bent, pull the straight knee in towards you, feeling that sense of the glutes going down and away, lifting up and over, certainly going away from the origin point there. Pull the knee into your chest. Enjoy that stretch in the front of the hip. Still breathing, huge deep expansion breaths into the back, right at that point of contact with the ball. Starting to bring your awareness more into your ribs as well, feeling how they expand with the inhale. You can kind of pull the leg out, cross it over your midline, so you're just kind of massaging here at the rim of the pelvis. You're massaging through the QL and the glute origins. If you want to raise that arm up and extend it overhead, feeling that stretch between the ribs and the pelvis. Glutes slide down toward the leg. QL extends up toward the ribs. Big breath into that space between the ribs and pelvis. When you're ready, go ahead and remove the ball again. Now, I won't have you do this right now, but a nice way to cap this off is to once again return to the place with two balls, one on each side. But for our purposes today, this should feel pretty balanced out now. So give yourself a moment to just assess a little bit, feeling that the sort of the four corners here, the 2 points of the tops of the pelvis, the 2 points of sort of the bottom front ribs, feeling a sense of equilibrium between those two. Hopefully a level line at the base of the ribs and a level line at the top of the pelvis, so that we're not doing some version of this or this or any kind of situation where the ribs don't just automatically kind of float above the pelvis in perfect harmony. Okay, so how are you feeling? Let me know how that felt for you. Hey, Rebecca, good to see you. Rebecca, let Jessie know too to watch this, because she was asking about the glutes. One thing that's really interesting about the glutes is that they do slide down. If they're, over time, especially when we sit a lot, is they do basically slide down your butt, right? And one thing that really contributes to that is the connection of the glutes to the hamstrings. So we're talking about the other end now of the glutes. So if the hamstrings are super tight, they're going to tug on those glutes. If the glute's super tight, it's going to tug on the QL, thereby tugging on your rib cage, thereby creating all kinds of things all the way up. So you may now even feel a little bit different in your shoulders. You might even feel it up into your neck. As you walk around today and kind of just do your basic movements, you might notice some things shifting. So it doesn't stop here. These things that we introduce into our body, they tend to kind of, sort themselves out through the next day or 2 or 3. So I'll be really curious to hear how that went for you guys. Rebecca says that was fantastic. Cool, awesome. Glad to hear that. So this, people had requested things about like SI pain, which is the joint right by where we just were. What were some other things? In general, low back pain, hip pain. This stuff that we just did today, we'll start to address all of that. There's so much that is going on in that area, so we can attack it, so to speak, from multiple different angles, from multiple perspectives. This is one way today, and I'm just starting to see more and more in people. I sort of had this revelation just a year or so ago, really noticing that how close those origins were and how much I'm seeing this issue with the ribs and the pelvis being pulled together, and how that's related to those 2 origin points. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Keep the ideas coming, because we have at least 3 more Fridays to work with here this month. So each week I'll post a little thread that says, what do you want to talk about this week? So you can always post it in the comments, or you can, I had a few people PM me, that's fine too. However you want to get in touch with me, just let me know, and I'll just kind of pick what seems like the general consensus each week. Does anybody have any questions? If so, let me know in the comments. Colleen says, how often should we do this? Colleen, just like all the yamana work, you can do this as much as you want to. There's no, this is a very low impact exercise. This is, especially what we just did, this isn't even about like kneading the muscles or anything like that. It's, really, it's more about just freeing those origin points. So you can do this every day. You can do this multiple times per day if you want to. Listen to your body, obviously, if you're someone that is super sensitive. I know sometimes you have sensitivities, Colleen, so if your instincts are saying, okay, that's enough, absolutely listen to your body, but you will not injure yourself by doing this a lot. The more you do any of the yamana work, the faster you're going to start to see results. Here's Melissa. Hi, Renee. Missed the first few minutes and got here just in time to start single ball in the QL. I need it. Cool. So Melissa, this is, we've talked about this before. So this was just about, I think, what you already know, but it's going to be a good reminder for you, Melissa. And if you have questions, obviously, you know how to find me. But I think that this is pretty straightforward for really anybody to understand, even if you've never heard of your QL or I think most people have heard of their glutes. But if you haven't, you can understand this anyway. So thank you all for coming. Great to see some smiling comments on here. And have a great weekend. I'll see you next Friday. Let me know what you want to talk about next Friday. Okay, bye everyone. Thanks.